G'day, g'day, how you going? Welcome to Frothy Friday. I don't remember that song very well, and so I couldn't make a witty rhyme to go with it. Something about say g'day to your mates and stuff. Pretty good message. Frothy Friday. I had a thought the other day when I was in the car. I saw a few people punching durries, just hanging out the window, like this. And I was actually like in a little bit of a wound up state, driving through a bit of traffic, not doing my conscious breathing. And guess what I realised? That probably the average smoker, I haven't done the studies yet, but let's say someone who smokes half a pack a day, maybe a quarter of a pack a day, probably does more conscious breathing than you. And I can feel the tension through the camera across parallel universes. Because if you think about it, for any ex-smokers or myself who was a casual smoker, usually when I was getting off guts at festivals, when you smoke, what do? You go, now the more efficient conscious breathing, depending on who you speak to, most people would say it's through your nose, so you're not going to punch a dozer through your nose, although I have seen it done multiple at once. Think about that. I think I even looked this up a while ago. This is kind of like tap back into my brain that the average cigarette takes like 8 to 10 puffs. So that's 10 conscious breaths, even though, all the other stuff's happening. You think about that. Like, think about this. I'll think about everything. Think. Shut up. I think I'm going to be a little bit mental here this Friday. If you just walked out of your office, if you were in an office, and you went to hang out with a couple other people, and you stood there, and you just started doing this, what are you up to this weekend, Tom? Feel how much more relaxed you are regardless of not having the nicotine, if you just are playing along at home. And I've always loved to yarn about that, when I was in advertising, going out for a durry is not a bad idea for getting to have a yarn with the executives that you wouldn't normally get to see. And so same with boozing. Like, boozing's, a highway to success, right? Get on the beers and maybe whatever extracurriculars with your bosses and see who can get a pay rise, depending on what industry you're in. But one of the ironic things about working within alcohol and alcohol transition is that most people I've spoken to, depending on, it doesn't matter what industry they're in, they're like, oh yeah, my industry has the worst drinking problem. Like, whether it's nurses, lawyers, accountants, whatever, probably everything, tradies. Yeah, that was a little bit off topic. This week, I've been doing a lot of breathing. I went over to a friend's place and I did something which I call beat breathing, and which is listening to music and then being a conductor. So I was the conductor. I put on a banging tune and I sat there, and she had these beautiful subwoofers. Shout out to Claire. My partner Jackie was there as well. And I conducted the music, which is not really conducting the music, but conducting the breathing of the humans in the vicinity. I've actually done this with larger groups, and I was at a festival the other day and I saw a lady doing it sort of, but more in the kind of mixed with yoga. This was really simple. This is like sit on your butt and just... And you can do this to any of your favorite songs. And if you want to get gnarly, listen to something that you listened to in high school and stack a few tracks. I did it the other day, and I don't know if I should tell this story. No, fuck it. I was standing in front of the mirror listening to Spotify's beautiful. So nostalgia is a drug. Spotify's already created it for you. It was like Taking Back Sunday. I'm an old punk rock head. Taking Back Sunday was playing, and a Paramore song, and probably something like The Used or one of those other punk rock bands from back in the day. And I remembered this time with a couple of dear friends, and we'd gone to Sydney. I think we were about 18 or 19. And there was this song by Taking Back Sunday. And we were on the dance floor, and my mate broke down crying. And it was sort of like, me and my other mate were like, he can't handle his gear. What's going on? So we gave him a hug like you do, and that's the beauty of certain stimulants, is that they fire off love chemicals, and you can be the most compassionate human in the world. Case in point, when rave culture came up in the UK, and this is why I had to go to the Manchester Warehouse Project, which I went to for my 30th birthday. They had, you watch the documentaries and you've got like skinhead football fan tradie blokes with, not in the pub glassing other dudes, at raves, dancing their butts off, and then outside probably having a durry and giving other dudes hugs. Tell me that's a negative experience. And anyway, it's a big topic. So anyway, we're in Sydney and my mate breaks down and whatever. He comes good. He comes good. And we went out and we raved all night, as you used to be able to in Sydney. And I think we got home at like, 9 o'clock in the morning or something. Probably, I think we're still living on the Central Coast. So the old train of death at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was standing in front of the mirror and I was breathing to the music, and you can do whatever cadence you want. And I was breathing a little bit hard. So like probably getting myself into a bit of a state. My hand's a bit shaky. And I just got transported back to the Uni of New South Wales Roundhouse with my mate, giving him a hug. And I started to cry. And I realised that my mate had actually, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm feeling into the intuition of that process, that this particular friend had a parent who had pretty severe cancer, got through it, and as one of his best mates, it was, we're boys, I don't know, we didn't talk about that stuff. Like, we knew it was happening, and, we would just go surfing, and then we started drinking, and I think what had happened at the concert was this like permission to grieve with your mates. Now I'm getting a little bit welled up here. Anyway, so I burst out crying while I'm dancing in my bathroom, just from the breath and from the nostalgia of the music. So if you want to trial getting a bit Larry with the breath, something my buddy Rob Gronbeck and I call beat breathing, not to be confused with the beep breath, the diagnostic that we've created. Check out beepbreath.com or breathcave.co if you want to learn more. What a wild experience. I had no idea I was going to tell that story right now. So cool. I was actually going to talk about a yarn that I had on Wednesday with my coaching group in the Flow Genome Project. And the topic was healing the healers. And it's such an important topic. And I'm not talking about healers as in energetic healers, but it could be energetic healers. I think a lot of us are healers across all different professions. My partner Jackie's a healer. She's got to heal little kids every day. My friends who are performance coaches, my friends who are doctors, my friends who are psychologists, my friends who play music. They're all healers, right? So there was a little bit of discussion. A lot of the people in the Flow Genome Project are epic in the personal development space and, do so many amazing things across so many different fields. They kind of got the sense that it was like, well, how do we how do we heal the healers? And I had this yarn. The other week I went to hang out with my buddies. If you ever saw Vote for the Planet, or any of the stuff we did with Reunion after the bushfires. I went down there and we were going to do a sort of strategy session, work and stuff, which is never the case. It's always a frothy yarn. But we got down there and they'd been doing, Sarah and Seb had been doing some pretty heavy activist work that week. And so I could just tell when we got in there, that's not what the session was about. It was about healing the healers. They've been doing some healing work on the land with the traditional custodians. They even got Thor involved. If you want to check that out, check out Chris Hemsworth on his Instagram, and him and Auntie Lois doing a shout out about the bullshit that's going on down there. My role in that instance was to, I think I've been surfing too much this week. Waves been pumping. My body's sort of given out. Was to sit with them and just be a human and put the strategy and the business or whatever we're going to do aside. Not that we normally do that anyway, but it's not about business. It's about being better humans and frothier humans and lighting the fires where they need to be lit. And so that whole session was just this beautiful afternoon. And that was the yarn I sort of shared with the crew at FGP. And I hope it resonated, and I feel like it did. And the whales showed up, and it's one of the first sightings of the whales for the migratory season. It's no coincidence. So I think if there's something going on, and you're feeling like you want to give back in some way, shape or form, and you can't feel into it, what is that? Just think about one of your friends who's a healer and ask them how they're going. Is there anything you can support them with? If you're at a bit of a loss. And so I really just love that, heal the healers. It's just such a beautiful sentiment. So that's pretty much. I've had so many good yarns this week, but that's where my brain's taken me right now, and I've got so much more froth to talk about. But I'm really enjoying the cadence of a Friday afternoon, or a Friday after I've bathed in the ocean. It seems to be the time when all the yarns of the week can be rolled into one. And hope you have a frothy weekend.